7 powerful moments to stay silent and let karma handle it. When silence becomes a stronger weapon than words. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where the more you try to defend yourself, the more your words get twisted? Have you ever felt like you were caught in a battle, not for truth, but for a lie that someone else created? And no matter how many times you explain yourself, it only seems to make things worse? What if I told you there's another way, a way where you don't need to speak, don't need to defend yourself at all, yet justice will still find its way? Silence. Yes, the moment you stop explaining, stop fighting back against the manipulations and falsehoods, karma will take over and handle the situation for you. But this isn't weakness. In fact, it's when you truly gain control. Imagine it like a snake biting its own tail. When it stops struggling, the wound heals. Or think of an echo in the mountains. What you send out will eventually return. The moment you let go, that's when justice steps in. Let karma do the work that words never could. Join me as we uncover the moments when silence becomes the most powerful tool you have in your arsenal. 1. When someone lies about you. One of the most frustrating situations you can encounter is when someone spreads lies about you. It stirs up a deep sense of injustice, and the immediate instinct is to defend yourself, to clear your name, to ensure everyone knows the truth. It feels natural, almost necessary, to fight back. But here's the harsh reality. When you react, you often fuel the drama. Every word you utter only breathes life into the falsehoods being spread. The more you try to explain, the more people start to doubt, even if they had no doubts before. The lie gains momentum. The person who's lying doesn't want the truth. What they want is control. They want to see you rattle, to see you desperate, caught in a battle where every move you make becomes proof that their lies have weight. This is where Stoic wisdom can guide us. Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless writings, once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This simple but powerful standard is what you must hold yourself to in the face of false accusations. Lies can spread like wildfire, but truth, as we know, has a far longer lifespan. Let me share a story that illustrates this principle. A man I know, let's call him James, was accused of something he didn't do at work. Rumors spread like wildfire, colleagues began to distance themselves, and the whispers grew louder. James's first instinct was to start explaining himself, to make sure everyone knew he was innocent. But instead of playing into the drama, he chose silence. He continued to work professionally, focusing on his tasks while letting his actions speak for themselves. Weeks later, the truth came out. The person who had spread the rumors was exposed for their history of manipulation. James didn't need to say a word. His silence was the most powerful statement he could have made. When the truth surfaced, his reputation remained intact because he never engaged in the lies. So, how do you handle this? First, trust the long game. Lies may spread quickly, but truth lasts. Second, focus on your integrity. When you know who you are, the opinions of others, especially those who believe the lies, hold no weight. And finally, let karma do its work. People who lie about others will eventually expose themselves through their patterns. You don't need to chase them down. Life will handle it. Remember, silence is not weakness. It is control. When someone lies about you, don't lower yourself to their level. Stay grounded, stay patient, and trust that in time, truth will always come out. When it does, you'll still stand tall with your dignity intact. 2. When someone betrays your trust. Betrayal is one of the most painful experiences we can endure. Whether it's a close friend who turns their back on you, a partner who breaks your trust, or someone you believed in who lets you down, it cuts deep. The instinct is clear: confrontation. You want to demand answers, seek an apology, or make them understand the damage they've caused. But here's the truth: no amount of words will change a betrayer's nature. If someone has already betrayed you once, they've justified their actions in their own mind. They've made excuses, convinced themselves that it was necessary, that it was your fault, or that their actions were somehow justified. Even if you try to reason with them, They'll twist your words and make you the villain. Engaging with them won't change anything. It will only give them the power they seek. This is where Stoic wisdom truly comes into play. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Betrayal, painful as it is, becomes a trial that tests your strength, your resilience, and your boundaries. It teaches you to value yourself and to recognize who truly deserves a place in your life. The pain you feel is not just suffering, it is a lesson. A lesson in self-respect, detachment, and in learning to let go of those who were never meant to stay. Let me share a story to illustrate this. A woman I know, let's call her Sarah, had a best friend for over a decade. They shared everything, their deepest secrets, their struggles, and their victories. But one day, Sarah discovered that this friend had been speaking behind her back, revealing private conversations, and even sabotaging her opportunities. Naturally, Sarah was furious. She wanted to confront her friend, to make her understand the pain she had caused. But instead, Sarah chose silence. She didn't argue, didn't try to get revenge, didn't demand an explanation. She simply walked away without drama, without second chances. And you know what happened? The friend felt the silence. She expected a fight, a confrontation, but instead she got indifference. That silence spoke volumes, far louder than any words could have. So, how do you handle betrayal? First, accept that some people will never be who you thought they were. The pain you feel comes from an expectation, so let that expectation go. Second, do not waste your breath trying to explain their wrongdoing to them. They know what they've done even if they won't admit it. And finally, walk away with dignity. Your silence is not weakness, it is strength. In the end, true power lies in detachment. A betrayer thrives on reaction, guilt, and second chances. Don't give them that power. Let your silence remind them that you were never the one who lost. You were the one they should have never betrayed in the first place. Three, when someone insults you. Insults are something we all face at some point in our lives. Whether it's a snide remark, a backhanded compliment, or a direct attack, insults are designed with one purpose in mind: to provoke you. The moment you react, whether by arguing back, defending yourself, or even showing anger, you've given the insulter exactly what they wanted: control over your emotions. The truth is, responding to insults only gives them power. When someone insults you, they're fishing for a reaction. They want to see you upset. They want to feel as though they've gotten under your skin. But when you don't react, when you remain calm, composed, and indifferent, that is when you win. Nothing frustrates an insulter more than being ignored. This is where Stoic wisdom comes into play. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that for a moment. The instant you lower yourself to their level, you've already lost. If they're being petty, cruel, or disrespectful, why give them the satisfaction of seeing you stoop to their game? Instead, take the higher path, the path of silence, self-control, and dignity. Let me share a story that demonstrates this. A man I know, let's call him David, was at a work event when a coworker, jealous of his recent promotion, decided to take a jab at him in front of everyone. "Wow, guess they're handing out promotions to just anyone these days," the coworker said. The room fell silent, waiting for David to respond. But David did something unexpected. He smiled, made eye contact, and said nothing. Just silence. No anger, no defense. And you know what happened? The coworker looked uncomfortable. He had expected a reaction, a fight, but instead he was left standing there, exposed, with no one to argue with. So, how do you handle insults? First, recognize that insults say more about the person delivering them than they do about you. People who insult others are usually projecting their own insecurities. Second, understand that your silence is your strength. By not reacting, you show that their words hold no weight in your world. And finally, carry yourself with confidence. When you respond with calm indifference, the insulter is left powerless. At the end of the day, you can't control what others say, but you can control how you respond. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Because silence is the ultimate proof that their words don't define you. You do. For when they play the victim, there's a particular type of person that can be especially difficult to deal with. Those who play the victim. You know the ones. They twist the story, conveniently leave out their own actions, and make it seem like they're the ones wronged. It doesn't matter what actually happened. What matters to them is how they can gain sympathy, shift the blame, and manipulate others into seeing you as the problem. And the more you try to defend yourself, the more you look like the villain. It's an endless cycle of manipulation. Here's the truth. Some people aren't looking for resolution. They're looking for attention. They don't care about honesty. They don't care about fairness. Their only goal is to control the narrative, to paint themselves as the victim, and to have you play the villain. If you engage, if you argue, if you try to prove your side, you're playing right into their hands. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Epictetus once said, "To complain is always non-productive and never appropriate." When someone is playing the victim, they're not looking for solutions. They're looking for an audience. So let karma expose their manipulation. The truth will always come out, maybe not today or tomorrow, but eventually. People will start noticing the patterns. The same person always seems to be the victim in every situation. That's when the act falls apart. Let me share a story that illustrates this. A woman I know, let's call her Rachel, had a coworker who constantly played the victim. Whenever she was confronted about something, she would twist the situation and say things like, "I can't believe you'd accuse me of that. I would never hurt anyone." She would cry in front of the right people, making Rachel look like the bad guy. At first, Rachel tried to defend herself. She explained the facts, showed proof, even tried to have a calm conversation. But the more she engaged, the worse it got. The coworker thrived on the drama, turning every response into more proof that she was being attacked. So Rachel did something different. She chose silence. No more defending, no more reacting. She simply let time reveal the truth. And sure enough, it did. Over time, others started to see the patterns. The same coworker who always played the victim lost her credibility. People stopped believing her, and eventually her manipulation tactics failed. So, how do you handle someone who plays the victim? First, don't argue. The more you try to prove yourself, the more you feed into their story. Second, stay calm and detached. Let their own behavior expose them for what they are. And finally, trust karma. People who twist the truth and manipulate others will always reveal themselves eventually. At the end of the day, silence is your power. Let them talk. Let them spin their version of events. Let them play their game. Because in the end, the truth doesn't need your defense. Time will handle it. 5. When they ignore your worth. One of the most painful lessons in life is realizing when someone fails to recognize your worth. Whether it's in relationships, friendships, or even at work, there comes a point when you realize you're being undervalued. You give support, you show up, and you put in the effort. But instead of receiving appreciation, you get indifference. Instead of respect, you get taken for granted. And the natural reaction is to fight for recognition, to prove your value, to make them see what you bring to the table. But here's the truth. Begging for recognition only lowers your value. The more you chase, the less they respect you. People don't appreciate what's always available. They don't value what they believe they can always count on. And that's why silence is your most powerful weapon. When you stop chasing, stop proving, and stop trying to make others see your worth, something shifts. Suddenly, they feel the absence of what they took for granted. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Seneca once said, "Time discovers truth." This is precisely what happens when you stop trying to prove yourself. Time does the work. The people who truly value you will notice. The ones who didn't, well, they were never meant to stay. Let me share a story to show you how this works. A man I know, let's call him Jake, was always the one putting effort into his relationships. Whether with friends or colleagues, he was the one who checked in, who showed up, who made people feel valued. But over time he began to notice something. The effort was one-sided. If he didn't reach out, days, even weeks, would pass without anyone contacting him. If he didn't initiate, no one did. That's when it hit him. He wasn't being valued. He was just being convenient. Jake made a choice. He stopped chasing. No dramatic exits. No angry speeches. Just silence. And you know what happened? The people who truly cared reached out. The ones who only saw him as an option, they disappeared. And that was his answer. So, how do you handle being undervalued? First, stop explaining your worth. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone refuses to see it. Second, step back and observe. The right people won't need reminders to appreciate you. And finally, let time do the work. When you walk away in silence, you give others the opportunity to realize what they lost. At the end of the day, you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. If someone can't see your worth while you're present, let them experience your absence. Sometimes, the only way people truly learn to value you is when they no longer have access to you. Six, when they try to provoke you. One of the most powerful forms of self-control is learning not to react when someone tries to provoke you. There will always be people who thrive on conflict, who poke, prod, and say things just to get under your skin. They want to see you flustered, upset, or out of character. The moment you react, whether it's with anger, frustration, or defense, you've given them exactly what they wanted: control over your emotions. The truth is, people who seek conflict aren't looking for resolution. They're looking for a reaction. They feed off your emotional energy because it gives them a sense of power. But when you refuse to engage, when you remain calm, collected, and indifferent, that's when you show real power. Your silence becomes the ultimate power move, one that frustrates them more than any argument ever could. This is where Stoic wisdom can guide you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. You can't control how others behave. You can't stop people from trying to provoke you. But you can control whether or not you let them affect your state of mind. And when you master that, you become untouchable. Let me share a story that demonstrates this principle. A guy I know, let's call him Adam, had a coworker who loved stirring up drama. Every meeting, every interaction, this coworker would throw out little jabs trying to get a rise out of Adam. At first, Adam would defend himself, argue back, and try to explain himself. But over time he realized something. No matter what he said, it only made things worse. So one day he tried something different. The next time his coworker threw a jab, Adam simply smiled, gave a calm nod, and moved on as if it didn't matter. And guess what? The coworker hated it. He kept trying, but without the reaction he wanted, he eventually lost interest. No anger, no defense, just silence and indifference. So, how do you handle people who try to provoke you? First, recognize their game. If someone consistently tries to get under your skin, it's not an accident. It's a pattern. Second, stay calm and detached. Your silence and indifference will frustrate them far more than any argument ever could. And finally, remember that true strength isn't in reacting. It's in controlling your mind. At the end of the day, the strongest person in the room isn't the one who yells the loudest. It's the one who refuses to be controlled by anyone else's negativity. When you ignore those who seek to provoke you, you deny them the satisfaction they crave. That right there is real power. 7. When they regret losing you. One of the most powerful lessons you can learn in life is the art of walking away and letting someone feel the weight of their own choices. When someone mistreats you, takes you for granted, or fails to appreciate you, there comes a moment when they realize what they've lost. But by then, it's often already too late. Here's the truth. If someone truly valued you, they wouldn't have put themselves in a position to lose you in the first place. People don't always recognize your worth when you're there, when you're constantly available, when your presence is a given. But the moment you walk away, the silence becomes deafening. That's when regret sinks in. That's when they begin replaying every mistake, every moment they could have done better, and they feel the loss more deeply than they ever expected. And this is why silence is such a powerful response. You don't need to argue, explain, or remind them of what they've lost. Just walk away. Let them sit with the consequences of their actions. Let them feel the absence of what they once had but failed to appreciate. This is where Stoic wisdom shines through. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True strength isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about having the discipline to walk away from those who didn't value you and the wisdom to never look back. Because real power isn't in chasing. It's in knowing when to stop giving your energy to people who never deserved it. Let me share a story that encapsulates this idea. A woman I know, let's call her Olivia, was in a long-term relationship where she constantly felt unappreciated. She gave everything, her time, her love, her support, but her partner took it all for granted. He assumed she'd always be there. Then one day she wasn't. Olivia didn't yell. She didn't beg. She didn't make a dramatic exit. She simply left. No long explanations, no second chances, just silence. At first, her partner thought she was bluffing. But weeks turned into months and he realized she was really gone. When he reached out full of apologies and regret, Olivia had already moved on. That's when he truly felt the loss. So, how do you handle someone who regrets losing you? First, don't give them an easy way back. If they only appreciate you after you're gone, they never truly valued you in the first place. Second, don't explain your absence. Let them wonder. And finally, remember that real self-respect is knowing when to walk away and actually staying gone. At the end of the day, the best lesson you can teach someone is this. Once you're gone, you're gone. If someone regrets losing you, let them. Their regret is not your responsibility. Their lesson is not your burden. Walk away, stay silent, and let karma do the rest. If you found these insights valuable, don't just keep them to yourself. Share them with others who might need to hear them too. Take a moment to like this video, as it helps us reach more people who are ready to take control of their reactions and let karma do the heavy lifting. Drop a comment below to let me know how you've handled these situations in your own life, or share a story where silence worked wonders for you. Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more empowering content on Stoic philosophy and how to live a life of greater control and peace. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video that could help you unlock the true power of silence and inner strength. Let's keep this journey of self-mastery going together. Your support means the world to me and drives me to create more content that can inspire and transform lives.